Hello everyone and welcome. If you're watching this, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future updates. Today, we've got some significant news coming out of East Africa that touches on leadership, legacy, and huge public emotion. We'll be talking about the passing of Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister of Kenya, and what it means not only for Kenya, but for African politics and for us here in Nigeria as well. Raila Odinga, aged 80, passed away in India while receiving medical treatment. Soon after the news broke, Kenya declared a period of national mourning and moved quickly to plan a state funeral. What stands out is how his death has triggered not only grief but also massive public reactions, some dangerous moments, as crowds surged and in some cases lost control. Let's walk through what's happening, why it matters, and why we should be paying attention, and I'd ask you again, like this video and subscribe if you haven't done so yet, because we'll bring more of such critical stories. First, what happened exactly? Odinga died in India, at a hospital in Kerala, after collapsing during a morning walk. His body was flown back to Kenya, and that return already caused major scenes. At the airport in Nairobi, thousands of mourners tried to receive the body and disrupted operations. Then a public viewing was held, followed by a state funeral. But during these events things went wrong. In Nairobi at one venue, police opened fire when crowds surged, leading to deaths. In Kisumu, his stronghold in western Kenya, even under heavy security, large crowds stirred up injuries and fainting as people came to pay their respects. The funeral and burial preparations are ongoing, with burial expected at his ancestral home in Bondo. Second, who was Raila Odinga and why his death is so significant? Odinga was one of Kenya's most prominent and long-running opposition figures. He ran for president multiple times, 5 times. But never won, though he did serve as prime minister, 2008 to 2013. He was the son of Kenya's first vice president, and he had a career stretching back decades, including activism during the one-party rule era. He played a key role in ushering Kenya toward multi-party democracy, and in the 2010 constitution which decentralized power. Because of his long service, activism, and the loyalty of his supporters, especially in the Luo community around Kisumu, his death touches many people deeply. He was often referred to as Baba, father, by his supporters. Third, why the reactions have been so intense and sometimes dangerous. When a leader who inspires deep loyalty dies, you expect large crowds. But in this case, the crowds were enormous and many people physically pressed forward, leading to chaos. For example, in the capital Nairobi a crowd crush killed 2 people and injured over 100. Also, security forces had to step in because of the size of the gathering, and a previous viewing ended with police firing at mourners who breached barriers, killing at least 3. The public viewing in Kisumu was packed, despite heavy security, military, police, aerial surveillance, dozens fainted or were injured. All of this shows how emotionally charged the moment is, a man who mobilized masses, and now in death the masses turn up with grief and regret, and the state must try to manage it safely. Fourth, what this means for Kenya and for us in Nigeria/Africa. For Kenya, the passing of a major figure like Odinga creates a vacuum in leadership among opposition and reform-minded politics. His voice, influence and symbolic value will be missed. There may be power shifts or realignments. He had reconciled recently with President William Ruto in 2025, ending long rivalries and bringing his party into the cabinet. Without his direct presence that pact and future alliances may face new tests. For Nigeria and Africa, it reminds us how important strong, visionary leadership is in consolidating democracy. Odinga's life shows the long road from authoritarianism to multi-party rule, and how the struggle doesn't end with elections. Also, it shows how public mourning can become a political moment. When people remember their leaders, they reflect on values, on past struggles, on what is left to build. As Nigerians we can ask, who are our Odinga figures? What will our public mourning or remembrance say about our values? The security issues and chaos around large gatherings also teach the lesson, managing large crowds, ensuring dignity in mourning, and ensuring rituals don't turn disastrous. These are all critical for governments and societies. Fifth, some reflections and questions for us all. What kind of leaders leave a legacy that attracts such mass emotion? Odinga had decades of activism, faced setbacks, never gave up. That resilience mattered. How prepared are our societies for the transition when a major leader passes? Is the institution strong enough? Are the values internalized enough so the loss doesn't destabilize things? In Nigeria, we see many times where the passing of a political figure leads to both grief and opportunism. Perhaps we need to think about how to institutionalize respect, memory, and reform, not just personality. The connection between the people and the leader is on display, thousands gathered, far beyond the typical political base. What does that say about trust, identity, and hope? The tragic deaths and injuries during the mourning highlight that even in grief we must take care, plan carefully, and ensure dignity and safety. Leadership isn't just in life, but also in how we handle departures and legacies. In closing, this is more than just a story of one man's death, it's a story of a movement, of a society's hopes and struggles, of how politics and public life intertwine. For Kenya, the legacy of Raila Odinga will live on in its institutions, in its memory, and in the way younger generations pursue democracy. For us, here in Nigeria, as we watch and learn, we can reflect on what it means to fight for better governance, to build beyond personalities, to hold space for leadership that lasts. Again, if you have not yet, please like this video, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss more of such stories. Up ahead we'll follow the burial and aftermath, and whether the transitions in Kenya hold steady or face new challenges.